lot of people. It's like we got a big event this weekend or something.
We do. And Aljo over here. Big fight for you, obviously. How does it feel right now, Wednesday morning, compared to if you were preparing for a bantamweight fight?
It's, man, it's night and day. You know, we were talking about the weight cut. I was like, it's almost laughable for me. It's still not easy, but compared to what I was doing before for so many years, this is almost like a cakewalk. Obviously, I don't want to underplay it. It's still going to be a tough weight cut because I'm still super lean. I got like 15 pounds, which is a lot nicer than having 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you said the other day, I think you tweeted it being like, I'm either going to look fantastic or I might look terrible, but like I'm willing to be that guy who rolls the dice, and that's been the case with you throughout your career. But right now, like, do you feel like this is going to be a better version of yourself, or is it too soon to know?
We're going to find out Saturday night. I really don't know. I think the training has been looking great. We've gotten a lot of good matchups in the training room, a lot of good feedback. I think all in all, we've been doing some really good stuff, and I'm proud of the work we put in. I just got to go out there and perform, and I think if I do that, the best version of myself shows up. And I really always talked about this at 35, but I was a little bit more green back then. But there's a lot that I feel like I haven't been able to show in the octagon just because energy consumption, the weight cut. I think now we're going to get to see a lot more of the flashy stuff and get back to the real funk.
And facing Calvin Kattar, who's long layoff, serious knee injury, you're never shy to throw an oblique kick, shoot for a takedown, things that you would assume would test the durability of his knee. Is that something you think about? Like, where is this guy going to be at physically?
Nah, hopefully he's healed up, man. I don't wish any injuries or anything like that for any of these athletes. It's hard enough trying to win a fight in the UFC, you know what I mean? So hopefully Calvin's 100% coming into this with his knee injury, and I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm not trying to maliciously attack his knee. It's like, oh, I'm going to destroy your knee. Like, nah, I don't have any intent like that. I'm just going to use my grappling, use my kicks, use my punches. I'm fighting him everywhere and anywhere the fight goes.
And where does a win here kind of put you in this division, do you think? Do you think there's any chance with Max doing this BMF fight, Volkanovski potentially wanting to take some time off? Could you backdoor your way into a title shot with one win?
I think so. I think if Max goes out there, he wins. I think I go out there and I win and I look good doing it. Ilya Topuria already said what he said. He said there's no challengers, so why not just skip the line instead of getting in the tough gauntlet of a queue. The UFC, they do what they want, right? So if they offer you a title fight, you'd be kind of crazy to tell them no. So if I go out there, do my job, I look good on a huge, massive card, I think the rest will take care of itself.
I was right here. Just even outside of fight camp, is just life better in general? Not having that massive weight cut to 135, even when you're not preparing for a fight.
Yeah, stupid questions don't irritate me as much. So it's a lot nicer. I could talk to my friends and family. I'm in a group chat and they're like, "Wow, you're talking on a Monday?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like 145 hits different." I'm like, "Yeah, very, very different. It's night and day. It's not even comparison. Like normally, on this Wednesday, I would need to be about 145 pounds in order to be in striking distance. This morning I was 154.2. So I was kind of, like I said, I don't want to underplay it, but it just feels like, I don't want to say cakewalk, but it's a lot easier, nicer, and I can enjoy life a little bit more, which I think will give me some longevity in the sport a little bit more than 135.
Back in the day when Dustin made the jump from featherweight to lightweight, he said it took him maybe a fight or two to feel like an actual lightweight rather than just a featherweight that stopped cutting weight to get to lightweight. Do you feel like an actual featherweight in there, or do you still kind of feel like just a bigger bantamweight?
I don't know. I'm not going to know until I get in there with Calvin. I mean, I've been sparring with big 45ers, Julian Erosa, Dennis Bazookia, Anthony Delemy, Kai Kamaka, Danny Gay. I've been getting some good rounds. Timmy Kwamba, who just got signed. And these guys they're not small dudes. So I like to think I've been having some pretty good rounds, some pretty good looks. And I think that gives me the confidence, I do think Calvin might look at me like, oh, it's the little guy coming up. But this little guy is strong, so we'll see. I don't think he's overlooking me. I'm not overlooking him. I think it's a tough fight for both of us, and it just comes out to who shows up on the night.
I think I saw an interview where you said you expected maybe a top 5 guy right away, but Calvin was the name they gave to you. Is there any thought of maybe waiting for those other featherweight fights to play out, or was kind of the allure of UFC 300 that pulled you to this fight?
Definitely UFC 300. But to wait, I'm only getting older. I don't want to wait much longer. Like even my last fight, I asked for just an extra month so I could heal up my injuries first before getting into a training camp and trying to makeshift the training camp. But that's come and gone. I'm already feeling like this was too long of a layoff. I think I had 3 grappling matches in the time off. I like to be active. There was a point in my career where I had 5 fights in 1 calendar year, in a 12-month span. So I think this is the start of something fresh and new, and I'm looking forward to being active as long as I'm injury-free, being active and competing as much as I can, trying to make as much money as I can, and hopefully fighting for a world title by the end of this year.
And the featherweight division obviously has a lot of high-level strikers, but they also have guys like Brian and Bryce Mitchell and Mobzar, who are all high-level grapplers as well. So do you think just the addition of you to this division, do you kind of put yourself at the top of that as like the better grapplers at 145 now?
Yeah, I'm not going to toot my own horn. I think I'm pretty good, and I think those guys think they're pretty good. I think our grappling is just a little bit different the way we use it. So it just comes to see who can blend it the best. I think I do things just a little bit differently than those guys. And even in Topuria, he's got some solid grappling that he hasn't really shown, but the guy can grapple. I'm not naive to know who's the best grapplers in this division. And with that said, I let the fans decide who they think is the best grappler and go from there.
And last one for me, 2 quick ones. Can I get your thoughts on the main event and then the BMF fight between Justin and Max?
Main event, man, that's a tough one. But I'm rolling with my guy, Jamal Hill. I think that's a really tough fight. Obviously, he's coming back from a big injury. Poatan is on a huge wave right now, and he's got the momentum. Of course, Jamal just had an injury. He never lost the momentum. So it's going to be fascinating to see who imposes their game plan first. I think Jamal's better when it comes to striking with the hands. I think Poatan's got some really good calf kicks that Jamal just needs to be careful of. And I think if he can negate that with his reach, switch stance, I think it should be a good night for him. And if he wants to grapple, he can actually grapple. I don't know how good Pereira's grappling is or his wrestling. And I think that's going to be the difference in that fight. And then you got the BMF belt. You got the volume of Max Holloway. I hope he gets back to his kicking. It would be nice to see him use all his tools in this fight because Gaethje's coming out with those kicks. Gaethje hits hard. And I don't know. That's a tough one. I like both those guys. I'm fans of both of those guys. I watch them as often as I can. I've gone back. I've watched Max's UFC debut all the way to his last fight, just studying, doing tape, even before I was even thinking about coming up to 145. It's just, I like to see good technique, good MMA, and what better guy to watch than a guy like Max and Justin Gaethje.
Hey, Aljo, over here.
Just
Quick question. Oh, sorry.
Other than the change of weight class, are there any different things you're going to approach when you're looking at your featherweight tenure when you see those upper echelon guys at 45 compared to the roster at 35?
So what's the question?
Are there any things you're going to approach differently now during your 145 tenure when you see the top echelon of guys at the 145 roster?
Approach differently? I don't think so. I mean, still study tape, be a student of the game. I'm not planning on changing any of those things that help get me to the top of 135. I just got to continuously be me and just have the confidence to do what I do in the training room and let it fly on fight night. And I think good things are going to happen. Looking at the upper echelon, it's a stacked division, especially when you get to the top of 145. There's some real good talent there. It'd be interesting to see how I match up with those guys.
And I have to ask, you've made it clear for a bit now that you wanted to eventually make this move up to 45. So did it sting a bit knowing that the O'Malley fight didn't go your way, seeing that potential fight that could have happened maybe between you and Volk at the time when you were both champs at 35 and 45?
Oh, 100%. I'd be lying if I said it didn't bother me. It's not like O'Malley's a bad fighter. I think he's a really good fighter. I just think the timeline was very fitting for him, and as a champion, it would have been nice to have the time off that I requested. But, things happen behind the scenes, and at the end of the day, I signed a contract. I thought I could pull it off. I came up short, and the better guy won that night. So it is what it is. I would like to get that one back, especially if I can win the belt at 145. He's talking about, I want to go get the jet and go to Spain. Like, bro, worry about Marab first, and let me worry about Calvin. If I get through Calvin and I can win the belt again, I would love to get that one back and on that skinny guy. I would love to get that one back.
Last one for me. You finally got your fight at the T-Mobile Arena that you've been wanting to do for a while now. So how did that feel? And obviously on this occasion at 300.
To be on T-Mobile. Yeah. First time fighting T-Mobile. I fought at Mandalay Bay twice. My UFC debut. Ronda Rousey versus Sarah McMahon. Daniel Cormier versus Patrick Cummins. I'm pumped to be on this, man. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for a lot of people. There's a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attraction. A lot of people are going to be watching, tuning in. And if I go out there and I show out, it just opens up a lot more doors, even from what I have open now. And we all know how the sport is what have you done for me lately? So if I go out there and do my job in a good way, I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for myself.
Aljamain over here. Were you ever offered a rematch at 135 after losing the title? Because you had a lot of title defenses.
No, I was not. Unfortunately, it was not. I did ask for it, but I was told, we can't do that. So yeah. It's just, I don't know. I just look at championship reigns a little bit differently. Everything matters for me. It's not just the way that you win. It's the storyline behind it. If you go out there and you fight guys that are not ranked and that are not the best guys, there's something that just doesn't sit right. For me as a true competitor, I get the entertainment aspect of it, and I appreciate that. Get your money. But to try to say you're the best or you're fighting the best challenges of all time, that's the part that kind of rubs me the wrong way when it comes to anybody, not even just O'Malley. You should fight the next best guy in line, because otherwise, what are we doing this for? Like, we tooth and nail clawing to get to the top, and then you get denied because another guy is a bit more popular or because there's a little bit more of an interesting storyline. Like, I get the business side of it, but the athlete side of it stings a little bit, So hopefully Marab rights the ship, which I think he will, and just go from there. I'm not bitter about it. Like I said, O'Malley just took an opportunity that the UFC gave him, and he made the most of it. And unfortunately for me, I was the sacrificial lamb. But it is what it is.
Were you ever worried that could happen again in your career?
No, because next time when I say no to my manager and to my team, just no. Or I say no 10 times, and then eventually I wilt. I succumb to the pressure a little bit, and at the end of the day, I'm a grown-ass man. I made my decision. I live with it, but I know if that opportunity came again, I just wouldn't do it. I know what makes me happy. I know what the mindset I need to have to go into a fight, and I don't think anyone should be fighting unless you're 100%. I think that's why Izzy took a break, because it does take a mental toll on you,
And just last thing on 135, what do you think about Umar Nurmagomedov in the division? It looks like he's going to fight Corey Sandhagen next. Do you feel like that is a tough matchup for Corey?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough matchup. Umar's a stud. Corey's a stud as well. I think the striking aspect is going to play out, because I don't know if Umar's going to be able to get Corey down as easily. And I know he's good when he gets on top. He has really good top pressure, really good control. He's a strong dude. It's just whether or not he could do that to Corey Sandhagen, who moves a lot. Not an easy guy to take down. I think for me, I fought him at the Apex, so I kind of had it a little bit rigged, right out of the gate. But in a big cage, maybe it's a completely different fight. So I don't know how Umar handles that, but he's a good wrestler. I think he will have a good game plan, and I think Corey's going to have a good game plan as well.
Oh, sorry, just last one for me. I know Calvin has done some training in Vegas before. Had you ever trained with him before, or at least crossed paths in the gym?
Calvin Kattar and I actually trained when I was an amateur. I'll let him talk about that. But I was an amateur. I think he was an amateur or a pro. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was doing a lot of stuff I saw on YouTube videos, and it happened to work. But that was 2009 or 10, so we haven't gotten the chance to train again. I would have loved to. I always thought I was going to fight his teammate, Rob Font. I think I trained one of his other partners, some skinny guy. I think he also fights at 45. We had some light sparring in Nashville when Dennis Bazooki had made his UFC debut and I flew out. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of know what Calvin brings to the table, but we trained that one time, and that was years ago. He's a completely different fighter. I'm a completely different person as well. I mean, honestly, I think I could fight to 40 if I really wanted to, the way I'm feeling. Will I do that? Hopefully not. Fighting at 40 just seems like everything just hurts. Leg kicks hurt. Everything hurts just so much more. It takes a lot longer to heal the older you get. You don't bounce back the same. We'll We'll see. We'll see. I definitely think I got a little bit more in the tank now. We'll see how this fight goes, and then I can make an educated decision on how much longer I want to do this. It's gonna be sad. Sad song.
Yes.